Welcome to our PowerPoint training for this evening. Same rules as usual apply. Obviously, any questions, just pop them in the chat there, or feel free to unmute yourself and just call out if there's something that's maybe not quite clear, or if there's something you want a bit more explanation on. If I'm going a bit too fast, a bit too slow, any of that. Everyone, welcome to our PowerPoint. Just let me know. And I can revisit, or I can slow down, or I can speed up. So far we've looked at how to get different sort of design aspects into your PowerPoint presentations. We've looked at how we would put text in there, how we've put pictures in there. We've looked at different graphics, that sort of thing. Now we're going to have a little look about something possibly a bit more work related. I guess a lot of you will be using PowerPoint for either the job you have now or maybe a future role. And so we're just going to have a look at something. Obviously, I don't know exactly what you do or what you might be possibly doing. So I've had to use some quite generic information, but you know what you see, we can, like we've been saying the whole time, you can always apply it to what you're doing. So I've just made a really brief PowerPoint, basically something that possibly you might want to present in a work situation. So we're going to look at some sales data year on year. So 2019 to 2020 sales. I've obviously just made these up. I don't work in sales, so please don't look at my figures and think they're all nonsense. I've just made these up. So this is our first slide. Then we're going to talk price increase. So that's unfortunate being there, isn't it? Let's get rid of that, put it over. So there you can just see I've inserted a bit of a chart, a bit of a graph about the price increase. Obviously, what I could have done there is I could have just put that in a table. But what you need to consider with PowerPoint is you've got some awesome tools that make the information a bit easier to read when they're in sort of a graph form, especially if you're presenting a lot of information to a lot of people. Maybe looking through columns and columns and charts of data is not that helpful. So if you're looking at something like this, like a price increase, it's quite easily represented by a graph. You can do it this way. We also looked at some sales divisions. So if you imagine your pie chart is all the sales we've got, you can see quite simply there how it's divided, and there's a little key underneath: jeans, leggings, hoodies and t-shirts. So again, it just gives that glimpse, that overview of information. When you're delivering your presentation, then you can talk specifics, you can talk details, you could even print some handouts out to go with it if you wanted, but this is just giving you that snapshot, that visual. Again, another kind of graph we've got going is just showing those total monthly sales. So we've put it as 2 years there. We've put 2019 as the blue and 2020 as the orange. Again, just for that comparison, so you can go through these figures, but sometimes it's hard to keep all those numbers in your mind. So just having that representation, that's something for you to look at, something for your listeners to look at. It's just a little bit easier. We've put here a bit of a flow diagram. So I've used the example of how to deal with a customer inquiry. So I've got, this is how you deal with a customer inquiry first, then I'm going to raise a quote, then I'm going to take a payment. Just a little bit of detail on the right hand side as to what sort of departments go into that. So again, when you're presenting, you might just have this on screen, quite simple, something to look at, and then you'll talk through more detail. And then we've put a bit of a hierarchy chart. This may or may not be something you use at work. It's something we use quite a lot. So you've got your manager at the top, then your PA, and then sort of underneath who those direct reports are. So we're going to have a look at each of those in turn and just see how to put those sorts of graphs, those sorts of charts and tables into our PowerPoint presentation. So let's just open just a plain presentation. So it's just sales data year on year, 2019, 2020, we're going to call it. So obviously that's quite a blank, it's quite a boring slide. I might want to make it a bit more interesting. Anyone remember how one of the ways I might want to make it a bit more interesting? Unmute yourselves and shout out. Give me one idea for what I could do to make that slide a bit more interesting to look at, a bit more nice to look at, if you will. Unmute yourselves and give me an idea. What do you think I could do?
You can change the background.
There you go.
You can change the background of the slide.
Yeah, brilliant.
Animation.
Yeah. Animation, yeah, fantastic. So I could change the background, I can put some animation, and we remember how to do that. I'm going to right click and format my background. or my animation is right there, so I could make that text appear in at will. Fantastic, some great ideas there. What I might do is I might change that background. I might go with your idea there, but I'm going to come up with, I'm just going to use PowerPoint's design ideas. So you can see there, if I click that background there, it's got graphs and charts and things in. That's where PowerPoint's looked at the words that are on the screen. It's thought, data, graphs, charts is probably quite appropriate. You'll see the one underneath, quite similar. So that's something that's quite intuitive in PowerPoint. It almost sort of looks at the kind of information that you're putting in and thinks this is somewhat of an appropriate design to use. So we'll go with this nice pink one here. So you see it's quite appropriate to the subject matter. So you can absolutely design your own, or if you're a bit like me and it's not really your sort of strength, I'm not particularly good at design, so I would always just use what PowerPoint comes up with. So we're going to start building our information. So right click on the grey on the left hand side and get our new slide in there. So you can see how it's divided up the page already. That's because it's following on from this design here. Because we've applied a design to that first slide and then adding in slides after that, then it's applied that design to that slide, if that makes sense. So if we look at this one, you've got the divide down the middle, you've got this box here. It's done exactly the same here. So it's telling me where to add my title. So if we use this one as our, what was our first one? It's our price increase, wasn't it? I'm going to make that center aligned, just makes it a bit nicer. Okay, and in this second box here, I've got the option to click to add text, but what I want to do is add that chart in that we had. I want to add in this. I want to make this nice graph. So if I flick back to this one, you can see quite faintly, there's some symbols in the middle of the box. And if I hover over them, it tells me what my options are there. So that's an inserting a table. My next one is inserting a chart, which is what we're going to do. Inserting a smart art graphic. So that's something we'll look at in a little bit more detail. A 3D model, a picture we've already looked at. Inserting a video and inserting an icon. So we've looked at some of those already. This bottom row, it's this top row we're going to look at this evening. So I'm just going to use that shortcut there. You can always go to top, insert, and chart is there next to your icons. But why do it that way when PowerPoint's made it so much easier? Okay, so now you've got this option. You've got ones that you've used recently. So if you're making the same sort of chart each week, each month, whatever that might be, each quarter, then you can use those recent ones. Or you've got all sorts down here, columns, lines, pies, scatter, map, if you were doing maybe something by geography. Some of them are a bit more confusing, box on whiskers and waterfalls. I'll be honest with you, I never get anywhere near any of these bottom ones, radar maps and tree maps. For me, I like to have it as simple to view as possible. The information I show is quite simple, so I just think the representation should probably be quite simple. Okay, so I'm going to stick with a column just because that works for our purposes. And you've got a few different options along the top here. Stacked, you can make them 3D if you want, but again, I'm just going to keep it as simple as I can. I think when you're looking at data and numbers, especially if it's an awful lot of numbers, let's keep it quite simple and quite visual. And that's just sort of a preview of what it's going to look like. So if oh, blimey, I mean, this Zoom thing's not helpful. And then click OK. Bear with it. Okay, so you see here it's made what the graph will look like. And this green box here, it's inserted an Excel file for us. So we can start putting the data in here. So down the left-hand side where it says categories, they're the titles underneath these bar charts here. And where it says series 1, then that's the columns. So series 1 is this, I guess, blue color. Series 2 is this sort of purple in the middle. And series 3 is this pinky, I don't know, lilac, I suppose you call it. So what we want to do is change this information here to the information that's relevant to us. So we're going to represent the price increase over 3 years. So series 1, I'm going to just type in, just over the top, I'm going to change it to 2018. 2019. and 2020, because what I'm going to do is represent the price change that we've gone over 3 years. If we look now to our chart, it's updating as we type. So you've got 2018 now is going to be represented by that blue. Your purple is going to represent 2019's prices, and 2020 is going to be this third column here. What I want to do is change these categories, because this is going to be different things that I sell. So in my business, I'm going to sell jeans, hoodies, t-shirts, and we'll sell leggings as well. Why not? Okay, so now along the bottom where it did say series, you can see that cluster's representing jeans. I've got hoodies here, I've got my t-shirts here, and I've got my leggings here, and my 3 years. So now I just need to consult my data and put my prices in. So my 2018 price was £36. 2019 it went to say 40, and then 2020 has just gone crazy, it's gone to 48. Okay, so if we look now at this jeans cluster here, you can see 2018, 2019, 2020, and down the left hand side the numbers showing you what it represents. So if we do the same for hoodies, so we'll start a hoodie off at £50. We're a pretty expensive shop, and then they took a drop for whatever reason. T-shirts, obviously I'm just making these figures up, I have no idea how much a t-shirt costs. I don't work in a clothes shop. Okay, so I'm happy, I've double checked they are my figures, happy days. So I'm just going to close this now. I'm just going to press that red X and get rid of that. And that's my chart, that's what it looks like. And you can see at the top, I just need to change that chart title. So the easiest way to do that is just double click on it and highlight it, and then just put price increase year on year. That's what YOY stands for, year on year. So now if I'm showing this to my viewers, rather than showing them that table that I could have shown them, but had quite a lot of figures, quite a lot of data, maybe hard to see any trends, any patterns. You see, just looking at that, it makes it a lot simpler to look at. You can just look at that on the screen and understand the trend straight away. You can see any patterns there. You can see ups and downs. So that's inserting a bar chart. So we're going to insert next. What did we have next? Oh, we had our pie chart of our sales divisions. So just the same as we did before, we've just made that new slide. I'm going to click to add title, and we're just going to call it division. Sorry, just checking my spelling there, of sales. I'm going to move over this side, and we're going to put our chart in again. So just hover over that one. Yep, that's the chart button, and click it in. This time, I'm going to use a pie chart because I'm going to show it division. Just the same as you did before. You've got just a simple one. You've got 3D. You've got a pie of a pie. So that would, if you clicked in a pie of a pie, the first one would show perhaps the whole of the sales, and your little one breaks down one section. So if we did it into our previous one, into trousers and tops. So if we insert that one, break it down a bit further, we'll show you an example. Okay. So if we go for trousers and tops, and I get rid of all of that. Okay. So you can see I've just got trousers and tops there, and that's my division of sales. So I'm going to say I did 65% trousers and 35% tops. Okay, that making sense. So you can see there, trousers is my blue, tops is my purple. Oh, yeah, I'm happy with that. Happy with that. Oh, sorry, click the wrong button. And in here, we would break down the sales, say, of the, like that. Oh. And we break that down further and put some data in there. Okay. That's a bit more complicated than we really need to make it. But that's how that works. Okay, let's start again. Okay, so we're just going to do a really nice simple one. Oh, forgive my computer, it takes an absolute age. Okay, so we're going to have division of sales at the top. So that's changed my title. I'm going to have my t-shirts. Sorry, delete the first quote bit. I'll have my, what do they have, jeans. I add leggings and I add hoodies. So I've looked at my data, and of my sales, I had 50% in t-shirts, 15% in jeans, 20% in leggings, and the remaining 50% went into hoodies. So if I get rid of that, again, you can just see there that you can see that clear division. So obviously it's the colours there represent which one. So you can see t-shirts is the biggest one. So if I'm trying to explain to people where most of our sales come from, it's just about having that really simple representation that someone can just look at and get the necessary information. I haven't got the exact figures to hand there as a viewer of this presentation, but I can see roughly, well, I know already half is t-shirts and the others are divided quite equally. And that's where you as a presenter would go into a little bit more depth perhaps, or you might have that handout to hand and then you can give them that. So that's our bar and that's our pie. What else did we have? Oh, we had the line next, didn't we? Yeah. So this was what? Total monthly revenue. Okay. Again, just using that insert chart, but this one we're going to use a line. So lines are great if you're using month on month, year on year, rise and fall. So if you're looking at the rise and fall of prices, the rise and fall of customer feedback, perhaps, the rise and fall of how many people visited your website, this is a great one to see a trend in. So lines are always helpful. So it just works exactly the same as all the others. So we've got series 1, series 2, series 3. They're the actual lines that we're going to have here. So series 3, I've not picked the best colours, is that sort of lilac-y one again. But I'm just only going to use 2 years. So all I'm going to do is just delete that one and just leave me those 2 years. So series 1 is going to be my 2019 figures, and series 2 will be my 2020 figures. And I'm going to go monthly. So if we go June, July, August, and we'll have September. So I'm reporting here, it looks like over a quarter. We'll say we took 10, we took 25, 13, and 14. And then 2020, oh, we increased there. We stayed the same there. We increased quite a lot there. And we did a huge increase there. Might just make that actually a decrease there just so you can see it a bit clearer. Okay, get rid of that because I'm finished. And then that's my chart there. Again, I want to change that title. Easiest way to do it, just double click into it. There. Okay, so that's again, you see how I could have given those figures out, but you can see the trend here. You can see this one's steady growth. This one's a big rise and then a sharp drop. So it's easy to compare some calendar events in a line. So whenever you're presenting information like this in PowerPoint, just think about what it is that you're presenting. What information are you trying to get across? What data am I trying to get across, and what's going to be the most appropriate for the charts? So if we look to the kind of charts we've got, bars work very similar to columns. They just go across like that, but they're very, very similar. So if you're doing something that's quantity based, that's a good one. Area is kind of like the line, but it shades the area underneath. So sometimes that's good for showing growth like that. X and Y scatter. Try to think of a good time you'd use that. Possibly when you're trying to represent two things at once. So maybe the amount someone's bought along the bottom and the cost of that product. So you'd probably see a lot of dots being expensive, but not many bought. Whereas your cheaper ones, you might have a lot of them bought, but the price isn't very much. Okay. Oh, there we go. There's the map. So that's just as it would be, just standard stock. Stocks. And you've got a few different ones. As I say, I'm not a big fan of these because I would never have any information to represent in a radar. I'll be honest with you, I don't really know what you would represent in that way. These have got dates around the edge, so it's up to you, but I always stick to the top half and just keep it as simple as you possibly can. Combo, sometimes that will come in useful there. You can show growth and amounts. But really, I would advise just sticking to those top ones, unless you've got something really, really specific that needs to come across. For me, the simpler, the better, really. Okay, so that's our charts. So the next thing we had a look at on our first presentation is this one. So this is how to deal with a customer inquiry. So what I'm trying to get across here is a process. So I want to show the steps to a process. So way back in our first lesson, we were talking about how to save a document. And I wrote some steps down and we used those steps with some animations to deliver instructions. This is going to be slightly different because I want to explain to the group what goes into a process. So how to deal with a customer inquiry. Okay, so that's my title. And across here, I'm going to ignore the chart because I'm going to insert what's called a smart art graphic. So let's click on that. Okay, so just with anything in PowerPoint, you've got a lot of options and it's about choosing that one that's most appropriate to you. We said we're looking for a process. So looking down this list, it would make most sense to me to use that process piece there. And then within process, you've got a lot of different options. So quite basic ones to something a little bit more complex to something quite fancy here. So something with a lot of steps. Your gears one is quite effective. It's just about what's going to work best for you. We're going to keep it quite simple. And I'm just going to use this vertical chevron. So it says there, it's just giving you as well, just a little hint in case you're not quite sure. So a progression of sequential steps. So I'm just going to insert that. Okay, so this is how it comes up. I can write in this bit here to the right, but on to the left, you see each of these bullet points is represented here. So if I click in there, this first bullet point, this is this first downward chevron. So let's just refer. So the first step in our process is the customer inquiry comes in. So you can see there, I've written in that top bullet and it's inserted in this chevron here. This bullet here is going to be this first bullet point in the rectangle next to it. So what I'm going to do is say if it comes in via the web, then the web sales team will pick it up. My other option is if it comes in via the phone, the phone sales team. Per pick up. Okay, you can see as well, as I'm typing, the text size is automatically adjusting so that it fits within that box. So you don't need to worry necessarily about what size text is. Just keep writing and it will adjust. So if I kept typing there, it's obviously making it smaller so that everything fits within that smart art. Again, just sort of showing how PowerPoint tries to help you out a little bit. So that's my customer inquiry. My first step in the process is that if it's via web, if it's via phone. My next step is going to go in this bottom chevron. So I'm going to raise the quote. Who's involved in that? Well, my art department are going to get involved if there's personalization. And if there, are there any logistics department is going to get involved to work out shipping costs. I apologize my spelling this evening, it's absolutely horrendous. Okay, so you can see I'm just going along and just filling in these dots here. And then I'm going to take payment. Who's going to be involved in that? Well, strangely enough, the accounts department are. They're going to process billing. And then my customer services team, they're going to have a follow-up call. Once this person's spent all this money with my company, I'm going to follow it up because I want them to return to my company. So it's just a little customer services piece there. Oh, excuse me. So all I've done is just add to this box here. Just type away, and then type underneath is kind of the sub bit. So that's the main bullet point is like this bit here, and then underneath. You see there, I've just added an extra dot. So it might be that in that raise quote section, there's actually 3 teams involved. So there's my art department, there's my logistics, but I also do a bit of marketing. So I just need to add one there. So if in any of these processes, you need to add an extra step, some more information, it's just that simple. You just enter to add them. Okay. On this right-hand side, I want to add an extra step in between raise quote and take payment. I want to add in a manufacturing step. So I'm going to, sorry, I want it there. So I'm going to press enter, and that's added it as a sub heading in this box. If I press backspace once, look what happens to the bullet point. It goes over to the left, which makes it a big heading, which means it's in a chevron. So now if I say manufacture, where have I gone? I've got it there. And then I press enter. It's made me another big heading. That's not what I want. I want to be typing in a subheading. So if I highlight over there and right click, if I demote that, it makes it into this. So I'll put in fabric costs, and in there might be machine costs. Okay. I'm going to put in one more step. I'm going to put in a packing step. But that's gone into that subheading again when I want it to be an extra chevron. So I'll hold over and just promote that one, and that moves it into there. So if I demote, it takes it from the main header into the smaller box, so into sort of a subheader. If I promote, it takes it from being a subheader into a main header. But actually what I want to do is delete that one. I didn't want that one in the first place. Okay. So if I click on the blank page, it just gets rid of all that box. And if I decide actually I do want to make some alterations, just click on it again and you get this box up here. Something you can do. So if you look at this one, it's quite simple. If you look at this one, it's a little bit fancier, if you will. I haven't done that. Again, I've just used the design to look for some design ideas. And it just makes it look a bit fancier. So I use this one here. So all it's done there is look at the words that are in there. So it's read the phrase customer inquiry and put in an appropriate graphic. It's looked at raise quote and it's used a sack barra because it's looked at the word raise manufacture, and then payment, it's found some cash. And all these little pictures are just icons that we looked at before. So of course you can do that yourself. You can absolutely make that yourself really simply by some text boxes, calling them and inserting some icons. But for me, I don't know why you would when you can just click on your design ideas and get that design idea there. I feel like if it's already done for you, then why would you do that work yourself if that works for your design? So that looks pretty good. I've not done anything there other than typing 4 words. That looks pretty nice. We typed in a little bit of data. That looks great. All we did was type in some words and it's taken care of the design for us. So here's think with PowerPoint, use the tools that are provided to you as much as is possible. So just make life an awful lot easier for you. Okay, the next one we looked at in this was that hierarchy piece. So this is where I might divide the team down. Someone might not be familiar possibly with the sales team. So let's show them how it works. So let's have a new slide. And I'm just going to put sales team in there. Oh. And here, again, this is going to be one of our smart arts. But this time I want to show this hierarchy. I want to show who's in charge and who's next. So like anything else, you've got a range of options depending on how fancy you want to get. I'm just going to, strangely enough, as I think you could probably guess, I'm just going to stick to this nice simple one. And all I'm going to do is put my name in there because I'm the big boss and my position. This person here, that's going to be my PA. And these people are going to be my sales reps. Okay. So again, I've clicked off, but I want to make changes. So just click anywhere on the boxes. It'll get you another one. So I want to promote Mark. I'm going to put him there. And you see, I've just moved to one side. Demote him. And let's go back to where it was. Same with Gemma. If I promote, she goes up there. So now she runs these 2 sales reps. If I demote, she goes to there. If I demote her one more time, she goes underneath Mark because it goes from me to Mark to Gemma. So it's just a case, let's just promote her back up, of getting the people in sort of where you need them. I want to add an extra one after Mo. So I've got one more sales rep there. My team's building. So it's just about putting those names in wherever they might be. I'll put we're just gonna demote him one because the answer's to Evelina. Okay. So if I put one underneath Mo and then demoted, that person would answer to Mo. So wherever I put in this and then demote, that's where I start building this hierarchy up. So if I put one underneath Mark, Mark might have, there you go, goes across. So that's a hierarchy. So you can add that. Obviously we've used it for a hierarchy of work, but there's a number of things you can use it for. But it's just about investigating. And remember, if you want to move someone up in that tier, just the same as if you want to move someone from this submenu up into the main heading, then use that promote button. And if it's from the main heading down into a subheading, then it's demote. Okay. We've got quite a messy sales team now. Any questions on that? Let's just have a quick look. at the chat. No, we seem to be good. Fantastic. Let's go back in. Excuse me. Okay, lovely job. Lovely, lovely. So let's create ourselves a new slide. And let's just take another look at our smart art. So the what else might you want to show? You might want to show a cycle possibly. And that again just works like all the others. If we pop it in there, just put your text in there. A, B, C, D, E. So I'm just going to put in text just to make it. Just the same as all the others. Just put another one in. As you need. Actually, I don't need that one. It's only the 4 that I need. And just delete as needed. Designs. Is there a nice design idea? Oh, there's some lovely ones. I can make it however I want. Okay. So it's just a case of, with anything in PowerPoint, once you know where that sits in the menu, how to insert it, it's a case of just adjusting it and maneuvering it until it does what you need it to do. So let's have ourselves a new slide. And let's say how to add a chat. Okay. 1 second. Right. So we're going to look at this time, we're going to do something called a screen record. So way back in our first lesson, we looked at how to do instructions. So we did them as a list of bullets. Here, we've got one more way of doing instructions, showing that process. Sometimes, rather than explain it in bullet points, it's easier to watch a video. So you can record whatever is on your screen by using the screen record function. So all it does is that you draw a picture, you draw a box over your screen of what you want to record, and it records everything that happens within that. So we're going to use our insert tab and use this screen recording button here. So this is what it looks like. This red dashed box at the moment is everything that happens within that red box is got what's going to record. Well, that's not good for us because obviously we want to select a different area. So I'm going to select area using this. All you do is you see my cursor's changed to an X now. You just click and drag and draw the box over it like that. I'm going to knock my audio off because I don't want to talk. I can talk if I want to and explain what I'm doing as I go, but on this it's just going to be purely visual, so I'm just going to take the audio off. Record pointer means my cursor that I'm using now, do I want it recording or not? In this instance, I do, because I want to show someone how I'm doing something. So I need them to see where I'm clicking. So yeah, I want to record that pointer. If I want to knock it off, just click, but I do want that to stay on screen. And then your record button is just your record. So if I hover over it, you can see it's Windows logo key, Shift and R. So that's just a bit of a shortcut. If I click record, it counts down for me 3, 2, 1. So now everything on my screen is recording. So what I'm going to do is, just as we've done before, I'm going to add a new slide. Then I'm going to add a chart. I'm going to choose my chart here. Just move you lovelies out of the way. I'm going to wait for my super slow computer. Brilliant. So I'm just going to put whatever random information I've got in here. Okay. Okay, and I don't really want any more families in there. So you can see I've just made some crazy stuff. Okay, I'm going to add my title in there. And I'm going to add a title in there. Okay, now I'm going to stop my recording. So if I've moved my cursor all the way up to the top of the screen and just press stop. Okay, right. So now in this box here, you can see this. It just looks like a picture. If I make it a little bit bigger. Okay, if we play this, you should be able to see everything that I just did on my screen. So you can see my mouse moving, you can see my cursor moving, you can see what I've clicked on. You can see me moving you guys out the way. You can see me adding all my data. So this is really useful because you can put in a video of how to do something. So if we go back to our sales team and our sales analogy that we were using, and we talked through that process of this is how we deal with a customer inquiry. I could screen record someone placing a customer inquiry on the website and show that, and that's it from a customer point of view. This is really, really useful if you want to just demonstrate to someone how to do something rather than use instructions. Sometimes instructions aren't always clear because you need a lot of words to describe, whereas this, you can simply show them a video. And reuse, and that's it. Okay. Obviously on your video, you won't have a Zoom meeting going down the side, but that's how you record it. So at the minute, this recording just exists within our PowerPoint, but it's quite a useful little recording. Maybe I want to share it with some of my colleagues. If I right click it and I save my media as, my computer gets going. I can save this then. And then I can reuse that. So I've got that there, and this is this lovely PowerPoint. I've made this PowerPoint. I want to insert it into here now. I want to show someone else on a different PowerPoint how to make a chart. Well, I don't want to have to do that recording every time. So I'm just going to insert it as a video instead. And there it is. Just select it and insert it. So it's exactly the same video. You can make it as big or as small as you want, and then you can hit play, and then that just plays in your presentation. So let's watch it in present mode. And you just press space bar and it's just played. Okay, so that's what we call a screen recording. So as I say, incredibly useful if you're trying to demonstrate how to do something, and giving loads and loads of instruction in words is going to take just too long. It's easier just to show someone. But you can imagine if I'm doing this live at my computer now, it's quite easy. But if we were sat in a boardroom and there's 50 of you, I wanted to keep my PowerPoint going, I probably couldn't show you live as we were doing. So I might have to use some of these screen records to illustrate my point. Okay, so let's just get rid of that. I don't think we need to watch that again. So I'm just going to delete that. So we don't have to screen record PowerPoint. We can screen record anything. So if we went to Google and we wanted to show someone how to screen record Google, for instance, how to screen record doing a Google search. Just going to do it on a blank one just to make it a bit easier. All we would do, insert, screen recording. It brings up our red box. So you can see at the moment, that red box there is what's going to record. So I might just want to reselect it. And we'll just go for that sort of middly bit there. And I'm going to start recording. Gives me 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to get onto the right page. How do you run a Google search? There you go. And that's shown me. And I've just stopped recording there. And that should just sit in there. So what I did then, I didn't use the cursor to stop the recording. I used Shift, Windows key and Q. So to start a screen recording, it's Shift, Windows key and R. And to stop, it's Shift, Windows key and Q. Okay, so if we watch that now. You can see me doing what I was doing. And that's how screen recording works. So you can screen record in PowerPoint. But if you want to use this recording, this video, anywhere else, then right click, save media as, decide where you're going to save it to, and it's there. You'll also notice a couple of editing tools there, trim, start, comment and style. So they're just sort of if you want to put a border on it, stuff like that. And trim is kind of what it says on the tin. So if I wanted to knock the first 2 seconds off, just click and drag that and it'll start there. So it will just start a little bit later. Okay. So that is the end of today's lesson. So we've looked at some charts, some smart arts, so how we might use that for work, and we've looked at some screen recordings. Has anyone got any questions on anything we've covered this evening? And it's our last lesson next week. So has anyone got anything that they want covering next week that I haven't already covered? Because I've got some stuff to cover, that's not a problem. But is there anything specific, as it's our last week together? If you can't think right now, I think you've all on the Telegram app, or you've all got a way of getting hold of Yetunde. So you're more than welcome to drop a message on that Telegram app or get hold of Yetunde and just say next week, as it's our final week together, can you just go through X, Y, Z? Can we revisit whatever it is? Otherwise, we'll just go through some extra little bits and bobs, like how to make a video out of your PowerPoint and stuff like that. We'll do that next week. But if there's anything in the meantime that you think of, please reach out, get in touch, and I can certainly build it in and show you how to do that. Give me some warning though, because if I don't know how to do it, I'll have to Google it first. So unless anyone's got any questions for me, then I'll say good evening, I'll say good night, enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you this time next week. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Have a lovely rest of your evening.
Thank you.